Ang radio ay isa sa mga sikat na media platforms sa bansa. Bago pa man nauso ang modern technologies tulad ng smartphones para makinig ng music ng mga Pilipino, ang FM radio ang naging mistulang sinamunang Spotify ng mga tao. Pagdating naman sa news, hindi mawawala ang ikihitin natin ng ating mga radyo upang makinig ng balita. Pero ngayon, uso-uso na ang mga online media platforms kung saan updated na tayo in just one click. Despite of the development of technology, hindi pa rin mawawala ang radyo sa pang-araw-araw nating mga Pilipino. Bakit? Dahil naging parte nito ng kultura natin. Pero, paano nga ba nagsimula ang radio? Let's discuss about what radio is and the history of radio.
The term radio is derived from the Latin word radius, meaning spoke of a wheel, beam of light, and ray. It was first applied to communications in 1881 when, at the suggestion of French scientist Ernest Mercator to Alexander Graham Bell, who adopted radiophone, meaning radiated sound, as an alternate name for his photophone optical transmission system. However, this invention would not be widely adopted. The early history of radio is the history of technology that produce and use radio instruments that use radio waves. Within the timeline of radio, many people contributed theories and inventions in what became radio. Radio development began as wireless telegraphy. The first commercial radio station was KDKA in Pittsburgh, which went on air in the evening of November 2nd, 1920, with a broadcast of the returns of the Harding-Cox presidential election. AM method of audio transmission was first successfully carried out in the mid-1870s to produce quality radio over telephone lines, and the original method used for audio radio transmissions. FM radio was developed in the United States mainly by Edwin Armstrong in the 1930s. FM radio became popular in the 1970s and early 80s. By the 1990s, most music stations switched from AM and adopted FM due to better sound quality. This trend was seen in America and most of the countries in Europe, and slowly, FM channels exceeded AM channels. Today, speech broadcasting such as talk and news channels still prefers to use AM, while music channels are solely FM.
Dito sa Pilipinas, ang AM radio, in the eyes of many, ay for news, while ang FM naman ay for music. Pero ano nga bang pinagkaiba nilang dalawa? Let's watch this.
AM, or amplitude modulation, was initially developed for telephone communication. For radio communication, a continuous wave radio signal called double sideband amplitude modulation, or DSB-AM, was produced. A sideband is a band of frequencies higher called upper sideband, or lower called lower sideband, than the carrier frequencies, which is a result of modulation. FM, or frequency modulation, radio characteristics and services include preemphasis and deemphasis, stereophonic FM sound, quadraphonic sound, Dolby FM, and other subcarrier services. Preemphasis and deemphasis are processes that require boosting and reducing certain frequencies. This is done to reduce noise at certain high frequencies. Stereophonic FM radio was developed and formally approved in 1961 in the USA. This uses two or more audio channels independently to produce sound heard from various directions. Quadraphonic is a 4-channel FM broadcasting.
Dahil nga sikat ang radyo dito sa Pilipinas, naghanap ang iba't ibang radio station na tumatakbo sa anumang sulok ng bansa. Pero syempre, may pinagmulan ng lahat ng ito. Kaya ngayon, didiscuss natin ang history of Philippine radio.
There is a debate on what exactly was the first radio station in the country. In 1924, an American established the first AM radio station, KZKZ. But an archive of radio broadcast histories revealed that in 1922, an American woman named Mrs. Redgrave made a test broadcast using a 5-watt transmitter. While little is known about Redgrave's experiment, it is believed that the test broadcast was made from the Coles Field, now Villamore Air Base. could be the very first radio station in the Pearl of the Orient. The first radio network in the Philippines was founded by Henry Herman, founder of the Electrical Supply Company, Manila, gained permission possibly from local government and the military to operate more than one station. The test broadcasts delivered music over the air to wealthy residents who owned radio receivers. This network of test broadcasts, however, was summed up into one 100-watt powered AM station, bearing the call letters KZ, KZ on 729 kHz. Radio Corporation of the Philippines, or RCP, later bought KZKZ in October 1924. RCP expanded in Cebu, putting up KZRC, or Radio Cebu, in 1929, which is now DYRC. The standard format for the Philippine call signs is 2 by 3, where 2 stands for the prefix letters, for D, for I, or DU-DZ, and 3 stands for the suffix letters, both of which are assigned and regulated by the National Telecommunications Commission. A suffix can have as much as 3 characters, and as little as 1. The NTC assigns prefixes depending on the privileges of the amateur license or for special events. For special events, may only be used within a specified duration for D, for E, for G, for H, and for I. For Class A or the extra class, for F and DU, Class B, which is the general class, DV, for Class C or the technician class, DW, for club stations, DX and DZ, for Class D or foundation class, DY. PARA represents the interests of Filipino amateur radio operators, enthusiasts before the national and international telecommunications regulatory authorities. PARA is a national member society representing the Philippines in an international amateur radio union. The Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas provides broadcast media regulations and guidelines for news. At the top of the pyramid is a station manager, who is responsible for day-to-day operations. He or she enforces the owner's standards while making sure the needs of all employees are being met. The operations manager holds down the number 2 spot with the radio station, or at the radio station, and usually focuses on coordinating, scheduling, and prompting on-air programming. He or she works closely with disc jockeys, anchors, and hosts to make sure they represent the station's branding correctly. Sales manager. Having a sales manager working with a team which constantly generates revenue by selling airtime to advertisers. The office manager works with a team of administrative and finance employees to handle logistics, payroll, taxes, bills, audits, and legal matters. The chief engineer manages a team that handles all technical matters. In addition to supervising, he must regularly inspect equipment, maintain and repair it when necessary, purchase new equipment when merited, and abide by FCC regulations. On-air personalities. Transmitting the station's voice to the public falls to an on-air personality. Disc jockeys play music, take requests and provide information. Anchor delivers the news, weather and traffic updates. Hosts often conduct interviews and allow listeners to call in and become part of the show. All must align with station branding. On-air personalities report to their program director.